Here in NASCAR.com Studio 3, I'm Jonathan Merryman, joined by John Probst in the R&D Center. John, let's jump right into things. Aero ducts have been added to the packages at Pocono, Darlington, and Homestead-Miami. Why did NASCAR feel like they needed to change these packages at these couple of racetracks?
Yeah, if you go back to the beginning of the year when we were implementing the packages at the different tracks, we were trying to be as conservative as we could be and not put any of the teams in a bad spot with respect to brake cooling. And when you looked at kind of the history of, even Atlanta, next year Atlanta would be on that list, and Homestead, Darlington, and Pocono, without getting a lot of miles on the package, we were afraid that we may get teams into a situation where they wouldn't have adequate brake cooling. As we went through the season here now, and we're 11 races in, and we've had a chance to look at all the data, we feel pretty comfortable in just adding those aero ducts to the rest of the Taper 550 tracks. That's also been a request from the teams as well. So in this situation, we had a win-win. We didn't need the brake ducts at those tracks. The teams were asking for it, so it's a no-brainer from our side to just go ahead and allow that moving forward.
Our last mile-and-a-half track was Texas Motor Speedway. Now we move on to Kansas. At Texas, it seemed like a lot of those guys were able to catch up and catch the Gibbs cars and the Penske cars. Do we expect more of that this weekend at Kansas?
Yeah, for sure. I think the more time, that the teams have with the package, they're all, working really hard, obviously, and you'll see a lot of teams, like Stuart Haas is obviously knocking on the door now. Kevin Harvick's always been good at Kansas. So you're starting to see the Chevys as well, right? Lately, the Chevys have actually started to show some speed, and no one can, forget Chase Elliott won the last time we were there. So, it would if you're playing fantasy, you definitely want to look at the Chevys this weekend as well, because there's a couple of them with Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott running pretty good right now.
When we look at Kansas, that race starts with sun up, it ends at sundown. So you have to chase the race car. The race car has to chase the racetrack, so to speak. What makes that so difficult, and how is that such a unique aspect of racing at Kansas in the spring?
Yeah, I think that anytime we start in the light and race into the dark, generally there's a speed change that comes with that. So a lot of your splitter height variations will change. Meaning that the faster you go, generally the lower the front of the car is going to go. So you have to be prepared. You either plan for that ahead of time or try and adjust as it goes. I think though the one kind of unique feature of Kansas that makes that a little easier to get through is the fact that there are so many lines at Kansas. If you watch a lot of the restarts even from last year, you'll see cars going low, middle, high, going in low, letting it drift up. So I think that a lot of the tracks that we go to, of all of them, Kansas is a track where you can chase the car, or you got a lot of the drivers out there, a lot of the ones especially with a lot of dirt experience that are really good at hunting for that line. And of a lot of the tracks we go to, you'd rank Kansas pretty high as far as a track where they can go out and find a line that works with their race car.
All right, lastly, week 2 of single car qualifying. How did the sanctioning body like how that worked at Dover, and do we anticipate it working just as well at Kansas?
Yeah, I think obviously we're 1 week into it here. We're pleased with what we saw at Dover. If you look at our broadcast partners, they've done a great job at using a lot of innovation that's been developed in the sport since the last time we've been in the single car qualifying mode. If you were watching, you'll see a lot of the ghost car going on. They were all obviously also able to take advantage of being able to interview the drivers up and down pit road. So I feel like from a fan standpoint, if you got a particular driver that you like to follow that may not be the best qualifier in the world, this will obviously give them the opportunity to see their driver on track, and their sponsor getting exposure. Seeing a lot of our innovation projects come to light there that a lot of the times in multi-car qualifying you don't get to see the ghost car and things like that. But I think that it's been a pretty good mix of fan engagement and working with the teams as well, and frankly getting rid of an optic that wasn't so great for us of all the cars sitting at the end of pit road. So we're pretty pleased with where it is, and right now we have no plans to do anything different for the rest of the year.
All right, John, we appreciate your time. We'll see you in Kansas.
Thank you.